biggest game of the season is coming up, and it's probably the biggest game of Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough career. Is it a must-win? Is it win or bust for Carrick? Let's get into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Project Boro Preview Show, the series here on the channel where we, of course, look ahead and preview every single Boro game here on the channel. And today we're looking ahead to Boro's next game on Saturday at home to fellow, former, maybe, playoff rivals Watford in a game which has a lot riding on it. And we'll get into Watford as we always do, as we do on the preview show. If you don't know, we'll look at Watford's recent results, their form, their numbers, predict the team, etc. But I think we need to devote a chunk of time at the start of this video to Michael Carrick and what this game could potentially mean. Now, since the dismal defeat midweek to Sheffield United, this has been billed by a lot of Boro fans as a must-win game for Michael Carrick. Some even say a draw wouldn't be enough to save his current job. My thoughts: I don't think the club will sack him either way. I don't think that will happen. I think with 15 games to go, they'll hold their nerve with him, if I'm absolutely honest. And I don't know who'd come in at this point and turn things around, albeit we are only 3 points off the playoffs, but you can make that argument either way. Bottom line is, Boro are in a terrible run of form, as we know. 5 defeats in 6, 3 wins in 10, 12 goals conceded in our last 6. And I've nicked this stat from my good friend Phil from Bonkers for Boro. 18 goals conceded in our last 11, and we've conceded at least 3 on 4 occasions. I'll give you one back, Phil. Don't worry. It's not looking good, firstly, and maybe it will depend on the outcome of this game. If it's a tight one that Boro lose out narrowly and there's a bit of misfortune, context might say, okay, it's just unlucky. However, if Watford come to Riverside and they are in worse form than Boro, again, we'll get to their form in a bit, and if they come after a run of results that has been absolutely shambolic, and not only come to the Riverside and win, not only beat us well, and maybe Boro beat themselves once again with more defensive errors, and our home record takes another blow, plus that means Watford overtake us, there are a multitude of things there that could culminate in one huge barrage of frustration towards Carrick, even more so than he's already got. And I do think there is a line that needs to be drawn at some point. It's one of them, and I will probably do a more in-depth video on my thoughts on Carrick, depending on what happens from this result. But I feel like we're entering a spell where if you leave it any longer, it's not going to give a new guy enough time to get his teeth into this squad, get things turned in the right direction soon enough. But then on the other hand, if things keep going the way they are, Boro's playoff push and hopes will be dying and will be dead in front of our very eyes if we have a few more results like we have been. So I wouldn't envy, or I don't envy the club. I don't envy their position at the moment. I do think, unless something horrific happens on Saturday, I still think he'll be Boro manager. But I can absolutely see why some would say it's a must-win game. I think it is a must-win just for the atmosphere around the club, the confidence levels, just the overall morale around the place within the fan base. I think we just need a win just to stem the tide, just to stop the rot, to just stop this run of defeats and just let things come to a halt and calm down a little bit. You know, there's every chance Boro might follow that up with a defeat anyway, because we don't register back-to-back wins ever, it seems, at the moment. So a win might just be delaying the inevitable. It might be a short-term break in a long-term problem, but I still feel like it's needed just to calm things down and just let tempers simmer a little bit between now and the next game, and it could be a small step back in the right direction. So I think it's a must-win game, but I don't think it will be a game that determines Carrick's job. I don't think we're quite there yet. But as I say, I will give you my thoughts on Carrick and my honest thoughts probably in a video next week, depending on what happens this weekend against Watford. Let's look at Watford, because they are in even worse form than us. I know, that's mental, isn't it? How can a team be in worse form than us? But they're basically on the same trajectory that we're on. Maybe they're a few games ahead. I don't know. At one stage, we were both fighting for 5th and 6th, and we're looking good. And they've fallen off an absolute cliff, as have we. So I mentioned our form's not great earlier. Watford, they sit 12th currently. They've got 12 wins, 6 draws, 15 defeats. So they've lost a few more games than they've won. 42 goals scored, 48 conceded. I mentioned Borough's form, 3 wins in 10. They've only won 2 in their last 12. So their form is worse than ours. And of the 12 games there, they've lost 7. So it's not great for Watford whatsoever. Their only wins in that time came, I believe, at home to Pompey, who obviously at the time and still are a very poor away side. And the other result came away at Derby, who of course have just gone through and are going through a shocking run of form themselves. So even the 2 wins Watford have picked up in that time were not good wins at all. They were wins they should be getting at a bare minimum. They obviously had an impeccable home record when we last went there and for long periods of the season. Since then, in the recent run, they've lost at home to Cardiff. They've lost at home to Sheffield United. I guess there's no harm there. They've lost at home to Preston, who aren't the best away team. They've lost at home to Norwich. They've just come off the back of a 4-0 battering at home to Leeds. So they're also conceding goals, 11 in their last 5 games. So you can't dress up Watford's form in the same way you can't dress up ours at the moment, if I'm absolutely honest. And they're not a great away side in general either. They currently sit 17th in the away league table, winning only 3 of their 16 away games, losing 9. So all the numbers stack up, you could say, in Borough's favour, albeit slightly, but Watford are in an even worse run, aren't good on the road, they're shipping goals just as much as we are, so maybe we're in for a 4-4, I don't know. But yeah, not great for Watford at this moment in time. Looking at their numbers then in a little bit more detail, in terms of offensively, they're not a bad side going forward. They are joint 7th for goals scored in the league currently, so they're not a bad goal scoring team. 42 goals is what they've scored, the same as the likes of Coventry, a few more than the likes of West Brom and Bristol City, so they're right up there for goals scored. Not a bad goal scoring team at all. They are slightly overperforming that. They're 11th for their expected goals, so they've overperformed it by 2, so it sort of levels them out as a mid-table 2 playoff team. They're in that sort of gap between, which is exactly where they are in the league, so I think the numbers very much reflect where Watford are in the league. That's backed up by some of their other offensive numbers. 11th for big chances, 15th for big chances missed, 11th for shots on target. It all screams of a very mid-table attack that can on its day compete in and around the top 6, but they are in that 7th to 12th gap and bracket, you could say. However, defensively, that's where there are worries for Watford, and that's where Boro can hopefully take some positives, because they are 19th for goals conceded. They've conceded 48 goals this season, 6 more than Boro, albeit we are now in the bottom half of the league for goals conceded. We're 15th if anyone's interested. But yeah, Watford 19th, only Sheffield Wednesday, Luton, Cardiff, Pompey and Plymouth have conceded more, so that gives you an idea of how poor Watford's defence is. And their XG against is even uglier reading, because they've got the 4th highest XG against in the entire league. They've actually overperformed their XG against as well. They should have conceded around 50 goals. They've conceded 2 less again, but only 3 sides have gave up higher quality chances in the Championship this season, being Plymouth, Stoke and Pompey. So this is a team that concede a lot. They also give up a lot. I don't know if this has been more because of recent form, and maybe they were a bit more mid-table for these numbers and have dropped quite low given recent form, but at least of late, this is a Watford side who are giving up so many chances and goals too. And Boro, if there is anything to cling hope to, it's that maybe there is still a little bit of creativity in our team that will just give us enough opportunities to get by this Watford side, because they do give up a lot. But then equally, you could look at it on the other hand and say they're a decent goal-scoring side as well, and we also of late have been giving up a lot. In fact, we've been gift wrapping. We've been putting little bows on top of the gift wrap. We've been pairing it with a box of chocolates. We've been giving a nice card as well. We've literally been giving a full gift bag of goals to the opposition recently. So you could put us in the same bracket, but maybe both sides are just going to hand each other goal after goal after goal in this game. It could be a goal fest. That's backed up again by the number of clean sheets. They're 16th for clean sheets. Only 6 they've picked up this season in their 30-plus games in the Championship. So I think there's similarities. I really do. There's a lot of similarities between the two teams at the moment. Watford slightly worse off currently, but both teams are heading in the same direction. We're slightly better than them, both offensively and defensively, but I would say we're both struggling in both departments, especially at the back. Looking at Watford's team, not many names I recognise, I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at their last team that, of course, lost 4-0 at home to Leeds. There might be more accurate, more likely lineups than this, and it wasn't a great game as well, so I'm not going to read into the match ratings whatsoever. But looking into their team, they play a similar 4-2-3-1 to us. They're not heavy on crosses. They don't put many accurate crosses in the box. I feel like they might be a team who play quite narrow. They might invert, try and play through the centre of Boro. We've saw plenty of sides have joy in that department as well. The team they played last time out, even though they lost to Leeds, is a very, very good team. Lauser in midfield, I think, is a very, very good player. One of their higher rated players on FootMob this season. In the attacking three behind the striker, I still cannot quite believe that Musa Sissoko is playing at the Championship at the age of 35 in a right wing and attacking position. I don't think he'll be anything to worry about if he plays there against Boro, albeit he will be going up against Ryan Giles. So maybe he will be something to worry about. I don't know. However, on the other side, that's where Watford do have a few danger men. Now, Kayembe in the 10. He's their second highest goal scorer this season with 7 goals, so he's a player you still have to keep an eye on. And Chakvetadze is probably their most standout player in the team currently. I think he's a fantastic creator, a very good ball carrier, very dangerous. I think maybe his decision-making could be better, and if it was, he might have a few more goal contributions, but he still has plenty. And again, he's on Watford's left-hand side, which will mean he's going up against possibly Luke Ayling, who in his last 2 outings has gone up against Gus Harmer, Enzo Lafay, and been absolutely embarrassed in both. So that's a part of the pitch where the game could be massively won or lost, with Ayling going up against Chakvetadze. So that is a battle definitely worth keeping an eye on, because if Chakvetadze cuts inside, gives Ayling problems, that's exactly what Harmer have done very effectively in the last 2 games. So there are quite a few good players still in Watford's lineup, but there is one huge player missing, and that is their top goal scorer. Because with 10 goals, the only goal scorer in their team to hit double figures, but Vakumbayo is suspended for this game. I think he got sent off against Norwich, I want to say, but he's missing for this one, I believe. So that's a big boost for Boro, that their top goal scorer by some distance is out. So I don't know who they'll play up front. I don't know if they'll stick with the same player who was up front for them against Leeds, which was Dumbia, I believe it was. He's only an 18-year-old striker. So I don't think Boro will have too much to worry about in that respect. So maybe there's a glimmer of hope there for Boro that Watford don't have their star man up front, and it might ease the pressure on Boro's defence, albeit, let's be fair, normally Boro bring all the pressure on themselves anyway. So even with Watford having key players out, if Boro gift wrap them chances, they'll probably take them anyway. But I think there is a high chance if Boro's defence, by some miracle, have a mistake-free 90 minutes, I do think we've got a good chance of keeping this Watford side out. Chakvetadze is the one I'm a little bit concerned by, however. So, moving on to the Boro team, this is the lineup I would go with, and you've noticed I've changed shape. I have changed shape. I did say last week in the preview for the Sheffield United game what I think we should do, which was a back 3 paired with what I thought Michael Carrick would do, which he near enough did. But I just can't. I just think surely you've got to change system now. I just feel like with the pressure, the question marks, players in the team who aren't performing, you've just got to change system. It just makes sense. Now, there is one position where I'm a little bit unsure on where this system may fall apart slightly, but where are we struggling at the moment? In defence and down the sides with our fullbacks. What position in the team, arguably, is the most ineffective who you could take out, probably Finn Azaz in the 10. So, you take Azaz out, you replace him with a centre-back, and you play with a 3-4-3 or a 5-2-3, whatever you want to call it. But this, I think, helps the likes of Ayling and Giles, who are continually being tormented and targeted and are continually making defensive shockers. So I think this protects the pair of them as well as gives us a better balance, I think. And I honestly, at this point, I know Carrick has a huge allegiance to Azaz. He's a key player when he's on it, but he's been hooked twice before the hour in the last 2 games, and I just don't know who else can play there as effectively as Azaz. So just take the 10 out. Literally, all we need to do at this point, throw your philosophy in the bin for a game. It's time in the season now where we have to focus on results. It just simply has to be the priority. Carrick has to sacrifice his philosophy and his style because he has to just start getting Boro winning games. It's about playing winning football now, not flashy, attractive football or whatever he's torn to with his style and philosophy, which he just will not deviate from. But for me, he has to. It's all about results at this point. So that's why I've gone with this. Obviously, Travers in goal. As I say, Vandenberg in defence. Dale Fry, for the love of all that is holy, please bring in Dale Fry for George Edmondson. What has Edmondson got over Carrick that warrants him to start over Dale Fry? I just don't get it. So put Fry in the centre of a back 3 because he's just solid, he's tall. Have him sit there. Rav on one side, helping Giles. Rav's probably the best ball-playing defender, so he can hopefully feed Giles down the left. Ayling or Dijksteel at right centre-half, I don't mind either. Ayling, I think, is more protected as a right centre-half. Dijksteel played there under Wilder and was very, very good, so I think either could work. We believe Dijksteel's back in training, so I think he could possibly be involved. That's why I've put them both there. Giles as a left wing-back is a no-brainer. Again, it takes away that defensive responsibility for him because if he's really bad with his positioning. So if he's out of position or he's too far forward, you've got Rav to back him up. Whereas in a 4, if he's out of position, we're absolutely fried down that side. So that gives him that little bit more insurance and protection down the left. Also gives him a lot more space and freedom to bomb on down the left, which is what he's good at. We've not seen the best out of Giles offensively, and he keeps getting exposed defensively. So the perfect answer and solution for me is make him a wing-back. He can bomb on as much as he likes. He's got someone there behind him. The only issue I've got with this system is who plays at right wing-back. Now, if we had more centre-halves, it wouldn't be an issue, but I don't feel comfortable playing Rav Fry and Edmondson together because then we've got no cover at all, and if one of them goes down, we're out of centre-backs. So that's why I'd still keep one on the bench as insurance, being Edmondson. So maybe then you've got to bring Ilin Jr. as a wing-back. I think he's played there before. After his after his performance against Sheffield United, I am very concerned by that. But again, I'm not going to judge the guy and I'm not going to give up on him based on one performance. And maybe just because we are in a position now where it's just, screw it, we need to try something else and just hope it works. I'd rather try this thing than stick to what we're doing at the moment, which is continually not getting us results. So although I do have reservations and doubts over Illing Jr., at right wing back, I just feel like at the minute he's probably the more natural player who can maybe do a job there. And at this moment, I'm just desperate for us to do something different in the hope that it will just work. So I'd rather try something and it fail than continue to do the same thing over and over as we are and just see the same results. That means Hackney and Morris can just keep doing what they do in defence, or in midfield, sorry. I mean, as we saw against Sheffield United, so much space in behind them. They've got to sit a bit closer to the centre-backs, but at least if there's 3 behind them, there's a little bit more protection there. And as I say, because we've took Azaz out, there's so much space in the centre of the park. Good job we've got 2 inverted wingers then, because Bergzorg always wants to come inside off the left, Whittaker always wants to come inside off the right. They can both come central. They can be effective in the central area. That will allow the lanes to open up for Illing Jr. and Giles to overlap on either flank. So we've still got width there. That's fine. Conway starts up top because Iheanacho does not look up to it. And for me, it's a no-brainer. with Conway's goals per 90. If he's fit, he starts. It's as simple as that. So that's what I would do. I feel like it takes out the issues we've got defensively, protects some of them players, still gives us width with the wing-backs. We've still got players coming central with the inverted wingers. Take his ass out. Why not? Try it. Let's see what happens and what difference that it makes. As for the head-to-head, although overall Watford do edge Boro in recent history, going back to sort of 2010, they've got 9 wins to Boro's 6 with 4 draws in there. The key is they've not had the best run of results at the Riverside over the last few years. Now, granted, there were a couple of years where they were in the Premier League and Boro weren't, so there wasn't many games between us in that spell, but the last time they won at the Riverside was back in 2016, almost or just over 8 years ago in the Premier League. Since then, they've came to the Riverside on 3 different occasions, and they've failed to win in each of them when we've played each other basically in the Championship since then. There was a 1-1 draw in 2021. Boro have then went and won the last 2 with a 2-0 win in 2023 and a 3-1 win on the final day of last season, of course. Now, our record at the Vic is not great, but yeah, we lost there earlier in the season. We shouldn't have lost that game either. We threw that one away. Shock. But Watford's record at the Riverside is not good. Therefore, I feel like that's a positive for Boro. It's not the happiest of hunting grounds for them. So then, finishing with my prediction. So, call me mad, call me stupid, call me deluded, but I think Boro win on Saturday. I just feel like when in the past we've needed a result and it's been a case of, right, he's in trouble now, we've always pulled a result out. Now, I know the performance midweek was shocking and we look flawed at the moment, but at home against a team in such poor form as what we are, albeit, I feel like there is a game to be won there. And if Boro can just find something from somewhere, I don't think it will be pretty. Don't think it will be particularly good on the eye. But I do have a feeling Boro will edge a scrappy 1-0, 2-1. I think we'll just find a way. It won't be great, but we will get a win. We will stop the rot. I just feel like it has to happen. As I say at the start, anything less. And I'd hate to be Michael Carrick. That's all I'm saying with what could be the fallout. But I just have a feeling, albeit, will it fix things long term? Probably not. Will we probably go to Bristol City next week and get beat? Maybe. There's a high chance because Boro just have never backed up a win with a win. We've not put back-to-back wins together since November. So don't get me wrong. Boro win. Yeah, I'll be delighted, but I will not be in any means excited or relieved or happy or pumped up for the rest of the season. Because until we see a run of results from Boro, then there's no reason to be excited. Because how many times have we had false stones this season where we've won and then dropped a stinker the following week? So don't get me wrong, a win here would not solve anything. It wouldn't change the overall mood or landscape. I think it would just stop the slide at the minute. It would sort of stop things dead for now. And then we see where we go from there. It's only then worth it if we back it up against Bristol City. But I do think we'll win. I'm going to go 2-1 Boro in a very sloppy, but a win is a win sort of victory. So let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments. How deluded am I? How absolutely crazy am I? And what your thoughts, feelings and predictions for the game are, whether you're a Boro fan, Watford fan or neutral. As always, let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the video, do hit a like on the video and subscribe. For more, we do review and preview every game here on the channel, of course. So subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss when a video drops. And if you'd rather listen to these on the go, the Project Boro reviews and previews are up on your chosen podcast provider, so you can find them via links in the description. But until next time, guys, I'll be back on Saturday night. Or maybe I won't, because I'm going out for a meal for my birthday. Watch Boro ruin my birthday. So I don't know if I will be able to record on Saturday night to get it up for Saturday night. It might be a vid and review that drops on Sunday instead. But until then, guys, do take care. Fingers crossed for a miracle on Saturday. It really is the biggest game of Michael Carrick's tenure. I truly believe that. So I'll see you guys in the next one.